Hello and welcome. I'm George Coll to part one of Warm Winter Light, and today was block-in. Started with a white canvas, and in about 30 minutes we got this far. So start and stop any time to catch up with me. I don't think I'm too fast, but I am fast, so feel free to stop and get caught up with me anytime. The important thing I think today, which I described, was I decided to block in the foreground in the sky and the darks before I worked into the warm area. It just gave me a better chance to nail that warm color. I don't think it's correct yet, but I think I'm really in a good position to making those decisions tomorrow in the balance phase of the painting. So that's the plan of action. This location is just up the road, and looks like it's an evening shot or photograph. All right, it's still important to get outside and paint, get critiques, paint with your friends, and enjoy the process of painting. My job is to help you and throw different compositions at you, which may seem pretty complicated at first, and we break it down step by step to give you the tools on how to solve these problems. That's my job. But still, the important thing is you got to get outside and paint, but I'm so glad to be part of your painting process, and I've got lots of videos. And so keep painting, all right. Thanks for coming by. Let's do part one. Bye-bye. Hello, I'm George Coll, and welcome to a three-part series titled Warm Winter Light. And this is part one. Okay, so Warm Winter Light is taken right up the road here before you head into the Big Thompson Canyon over by Sylvandale Ranch, and it was just one of those really beautiful warm lights here. So this, because of where this thing, the position of this is, I think this is evening, and yeah, it's really looking like a good composition. So what makes a good composition? Take a lot of photographs. And sooner or later you're going to hit one, but I think what I really try to do is, well, take a lot of photographs, but I really try to concentrate on things that I think are balanced. And I have a tree dark on one side, I've got a light on the other, I've got this nice cool on the bottom, and nice warm on top. It's like a building block of strength to make this composition. So today is block-in. We're starting with a white canvas, and I think this is this is canvas on gator board, and my good friend Mike Ottoman, he's a framer that makes these for me in big sheets, and I cut them up to any size I want. This is a 10 by 16, and it looks like I've got something like a number 2 or 4 here, number 2. Rosemary, and looks like I have a big filbert here, number 6 rosemary, filbert, and then kind of just a worn down old brush, may have been a filbert or a flat at one time, and it's a pro stroke. So it's, at this stage of the game, it's a lot of moving around and erasing, picking up, and using the side of the brush. I've got my terp, my odorless terp off to the side. I'm using Gamsol. I have my 2 blues. I got my 2 greens over here, which is an olive and a viridian. I've got my 2 reds, an alizarin and a cad red. Yellow ochre, cad orange. My 2 yellows, which is Hansa, yellow deep and medium. Transparent oxide red, and transparent oxide brown. So these are my 2 browns. I have a cool gray, which is a Remington product, and it's just a good gray, cold gray. Of course, you can make up a lot of grays also. Down here in my lower right is my titanium, and I did my best with some Gamsol to clean off my palette. And I haven't painted for 2.5, 3 weeks. I've been on Christmas break, and I'm just wondering, I hope I have everything all together here so I can make this thing work on a consistent basis here. So, let's get started. So what I want to probably do is start with something that has a little bit of stiffness to it. And I'm going to start with this little Pro Stroke. I don't even know what the number is. Number 4 probably. And I want to get some basic shapes in here, and then I'm going to fill them in with value color. And I have to make sure my canvas is secured and it's good and strong now. I have my paper towels underneath, and I'm going to get started with the mixture. So I'm just going to go some blue, yellow ochre, and gray. I'm going to thin that down. I'm going to add a little bit more blue to it, ultra blue. And I'm going to go with horizon line. So I want to always say, is there a foundation line I can find in here that I can build up from or down from? And I see a horizon line right in the lower section, third or something like that. That's a little too wet. Let me dry that out a little. And that's my horizon. Maybe that's a little low. And then I have a tree here. So it's like a big dome-shaped thing here. And then I have the mesa. I think I made that a little too exaggerated. And then I have some angles coming down from there. Then over here I have a lighter color tree that's lit up right here. So, simple so far. Foundation line, great big umbrella type thing here. Then the shape of the mesa behind it. It's all lit up. And this lit up tree in front. So now let's start filling in some values. Okay, so I'm going to go some blue. I'm going to put some brown in this mixture. Blue, transparent oxide brown. Again, this is starting to be very thin. You can see from the overhead, it's kind of has a streaky feeling on here. I just want to go in thin right now, and I'm going to just try to look where my darks are and worry where those are. Just try to lightly go in and work on these values. Actually, this goes up quite a bit. I'm using the side of my brush, not the end of my brush, and kind of scraping it on here a little bit. You can hear that scraping sound. And my darks actually come down a little bit below the horizon, the foundation line. And there's some other ones. Bring that down here. And working this around with some sky holes coming through, or some background holes coming through. I'm going to work over on the other side a little bit more. And I'm going to put some dark on the bottom of the lit tree here. And it doesn't hurt to get back, take a look at how you think the balance is. I think I'm a little high on here, so I'm going to bring my dark down a little bit. And then I have to bring down the tree parts here. And I'm running out of my nice dark product. It's really nice. Worked out very well for me. I think I need a little bit of dark on top too. It's these junipers on top that seem to add some texture on the top of this composition. Okay, so I'm going to get ready for my next value color. I'm going to mix and mix it thin. I'm going to clean out my brush just a little bit with some Gamsol and really try to dry it out here. Now there'll be some contamination in my brush, I get that, but this is blocking. We're trying to get this thing right. All right, so sorry to say I still need some more darks in that foreground, so I got to go back to blue and browns. Blue, brown, ultra blue, transparent oxide brown. And I need to get some darks on the bottom of this thing. Gotta get a little bit more blue in there. And we have recently had some snow. It's January, it's the first of the year, January, and I took this reference some time back. It's just up the road, this photo reference. But it's certainly what it looks like out there right now. And I think there's a fence and stuff back in here too. And I'm just getting some light stuff here that could be this sage stuff we have out here. And okay, enough with the dark design. Let's get into the light stuff. Okay, I'm cleaning my brush thoroughly, getting it dry again like I just showed you. And feeling pretty promising so far. Working pretty good. All right. Next mixture. Let's get this foreground and sky taken care of. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm kind of working around this nice, bright, warm color. And I want to get to correct values in the top and bottom to give that the appropriate judgment so that I can judge it to be not too bright, not too dull. So I'm going to get some titanium white, get some cobalt. I'm going to mix some gray off to the side with some cobalt. More gray. More gray. So I have one that's a little bit more gray and one that's a little bit more light. Getting a paper towel out of the bottom here. And I don't think I have enough product here in the light, so I'm going to go back to cobalt. Cobalt. And why I mix the two close to each other but not together is if I put this light thing on and it's too light, I will just get a little bit of this darker color and mix it in. Just a good way to say, okay, I can get these values just right. Okay. I'm going to go to a bigger brush. And this is the Rosemary Filbert number 6. Just a tad more Gamsol in here. And I think I need it a little brighter. More intensity of color. So I added a little bit more cobalt. Oh, darn it. I'm going to put a little bit more white in there, just a little bit. A little bit more Gamsol. Here we go. And you see me turn my brush around. I'm just trying to use the paint off of all sides of the brush. It feels kind of dull. But it's my base coat. We can always work on top of it. Just a little bit more Gamsol, just a little. I don't want to make it too greasy. And you can see I'm trying to get in close to the sage or the shrubbery here we have. And it's not too bad, but you know when you get too close you get some contamination. I'm trying to stay away from that. Okay, as I go back, I'm going to add a little bit more blue to the darker mixture. And I'm going to put some of that in back in here up on top. Now I know I'm screwing up and not being very detail oriented, but this is not the time for detail. This is a block in, trying to really hone this thing in. And if it's not right, because it's so thin, we can also work on top of it in part 2, which is the balance phase of the painting. Okay, let's see what we can do about that sky. See what I have here. I want some brightness in here. So I've got some phthalo blue. Try that. Put it right in here. And see if that'll spark up this thing a little bit. This is phthalo blue by Winsor Newton. Okay, let's mix some of that. Let me clean my brush just a little bit. Really squeezing it out there. I'm going to mix these guys together, put them off to one side, and it's surprising how little paint is left. It's all spread out there. I'm cleaning my glass with my paper towel just to try to keep this new mixture a little cleaner. All right, so let's get some phthalo. White. Ooh, that's too bright, isn't it? That might be good down here a little bit too. We'll worry about that later. Okay, let's get some of this previous color, throw that in here. Because this is too bright, the phthalo. I gotta make it lighter, please. I'm working off a monitor that's connected to my computer right next to, you can see it over here to the right. And that's what I encourage you to do, is download my images if you can and work that off a screen right next to what you're painting. And paint with me. That's the whole process here. All right, let me see if we're in the ballpark now. Good. Okay. You can see from the image that the sky and the foreground are pretty close together in value and in color. People say, you're a fast painter. How'd you get so fast? Well, fast doesn't always mean good, okay? So don't worry about that. But my first 2 years of landscape painting, 20 years ago or 22 years ago, was plein air painting. I didn't come into the studio. And when you're plein air painting, the thing I realized that things are changing rather quickly out there. And it kind of gave me some motivation to move along. And I think that's where I picked up my speed. Well, now I have this whole worm thing kind of outlined here with these other colors, and I think I can make a better judgment for my value in here. Now you can see there's a value change on the cliff faces right up here, and then the angled verticals, which are at a different degree, are a different value. They're warm, but they're a different value. Sorry about that background fan. It came on in the other room. I don't know if you're picking it up or not, but I can hear it. All right, let me get back and slow myself down just a little bit to make sure I'm ready to do what I want to do on the next step. And I am not. What I need to do is add a little bit more dark to this area up in here. So I'm going to go back to blue, transparent oxide brown, blue, a little bit of turp, just a little bit of, Gamsol. Okay, let me get that. I made it a little too greasy, a little too much, sorry about that. Go back to your brown here. I'm going to add a little orange in it. So I just added a touch of cat orange, and I'm going to be putting this in down in here. And this actually goes up around the tree a little bit. And I'll just add some of that in a kind of a dry, scrapey type thing in here. Had that little bit of orange in here. All right, let's get ready for the next mixture. Now we are ready for the warms. Now it's really important to keep your glass and your palette under control so that you're not making smaller and smaller mixing piles. You want a nice big mixing area here. I've noticed through all my years of teaching, which are, I don't know, 15 or 20 of them, that the students don't want to waste one piece of paint they have mixture though, so they keep the mixture here and then they have another mixture and another mixture. Pretty soon the mixing area for a new product is about 2.5 inches wide. You need nice big areas to mix. That's what I like. So I encourage you to do that. So good habits, right? All right, next is this warm. So let's go some Hansa yellow deep. Let's get some orange and yellow ochre. Did you get that mixture? Hansa yellow, orange, yellow ochre. I'm going to mix another similar color right next to it, which is going to be Hansa medium and orange. Hansa medium and some white. And some more white. And I'm going to add some more yellow ochre. to this mixture. So obviously you're starting to figure it out if you're looking at your own mixture, that this is for the darker stuff is for the sides that are angled coming down, and this one, which is a vertical, which is more directly facing the sun, which is setting, and that's why there's a difference between the two. All right, so see, I'm going to change a brush here, and let's see. I'm going to mix. It looks like it's a number 8 flat. I'm adding just a little bit of Gamsol to it. Not a bad deal here. That's not too far off at all. Again, you can see me using many sides of the brush. Now, I know a lot of you are trying to get around all these little things down here, that the branches that are coming up, and I'm just kind of going right over it. Oh, lost my image. Sorry. Come on, get up there. My image on my monitor went down. I forgot to turn on I have a little app that'll turn it on for as long as you want, called Owly, O-W-L-Y. Okay, now I have my brights to think about, and I want to try to clean this out just a little bit, and probably go to a little bit smaller brush. And looks like it was a flat, still is, but it's starting to get the curves and the look of a filbert on it. And I'm going to go with the brighter stuff right here. And you can see it probably even with this camera, or cameras I'm using. Right now I'm using 2 cameras, an overhead and the one behind me. And these little guys do a good job. It's a great time in history. You can get yourself out on the World Wide Web and do your thing. It's kind of neat. I'm going to use some of this brighter stuff down below and kind of mix the two together and get this brighter stuff in this tree canopy right down here. All right. I'm getting back to take a look. I think what I can honestly say is that we've got this thing locked in. And what I would like to do off camera, and I'll ask you to also, is you see these little things of canvas coming through? It's the white coming through. I want you to go back to your blue or your orange or your darks and try to fill in those little guys so that the canvas isn't peeking through, okay? So we'll call that no peeky boos tomorrow, okay? Try to get those things taken care of. And I'm going to do that off camera right now. So we're coming up to time, and I want to thank you for coming into Warm Winter Light, Part 1. And I'll see you tomorrow in Part 2, which will be balance. All right, we'll be putting on thicker paint. All right. With that, I'll take one more look, and yeah, I think it's a good start. All right.